Welcome to another episode of the Carlito Monroe Show. I'm your host, Carlito Monroe. And before we get started, all my social media information is at the bottom. It's all the same. Carlito Monroe Show, one word. YouTube, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload new content. I was going to tell a story today. It's not all that entertaining of a story, but it's more, it's a true story, and it's, I guess, more informational than anything. But before I get started with that, I want to talk about this Ami and the Hellcat, the fat kid. Well, not fat kid. He's a chubby guy. He's overweight. Oh, let's say obese guy. He's an obese guy that was doing the IPTV thing, piracy or whatever. And I guess it was a year or so ago, the feds had raided his home or one of his homes and took his cars and all that stuff. And he was putting that stuff on YouTube. But he got sentenced the other day to, I want to say it was 3.5 years, 5.5 years. I think it was 5.5. I'm not sure. But I actually think that's not bad. I think I imagine they took his money or whatever, but I'm sure he could have did some kind of overseas deposits or something where he'd be able to hold on to some of that money. But I wanted to talk about his premise of that whole thing was he didn't feel like he was doing anything illegal. And these were his words, from his point of view, was that he was paying for the cable channels. And he just piloted those channels through his network and charged people for it. And he didn't see anything wrong with that because he felt like, well, I was paying for my service. So what's the problem? And the problem was he's paying for one service. They're losing money because all those people that was paying the $15 a month, I think it was $15 a month for the Gears TV, was those were potential customers that could have been paying for cable. But he didn't see it at the time. I don't know. Maybe he sees it now. But he really felt like he didn't do anything wrong. That's what really surprised me of this whole thing. He got millions of dollars. And if you ever watch any of his videos, because I watch him, and I think it's entertaining that he just buying these different cars and stuff cash. He get them all wrapped white. And I thought it was entertaining because initially I was like, I don't know what he does. I was thinking maybe he's a rapper I'd never heard of. And then at the intro to his channel, it's a song. I forgot the name of the song, but he's on that song rapping. So I just thought he was just some rapper that was doing shows and no mainstream music or something like that. I didn't know the guy. I got to know him by watching his channel, him buying this stuff, and then eventually gradually start coming out what he does. And he's like, oh, and I looked it up. His net worth $50 million, but net worth is usually bullshit. But the way he was blowing money and neighbors complaining about all these cars he got in his driveway, because he had at least 20 cars or better, and they're all white and they're all high-end vehicles, and he lives on a cul-de-sac, so he had cars parked on the cul-de-sac. It's some entertaining shit to watch. I can't front. It is something to watch, and but I guess that's all over now. He lived the dream. He had money, and now it's gone. And it's a different burn when you've had money than lost it compared to not ever having it at all. And this guy had millions, and I feel like he's a smart guy. When he gets out, he'll probably figure out something else, but it won't be anything to the degree of how he's been living the past few years with millions of dollars at his reach. They say he had almost $30 million in the bank. So I don't think he'll ever be able to do anything to that degree. And I think that's going to bother him mentally, because I know people that used to sell drugs, went to jail, came out, and they're not selling drugs now. And they're not making the money that anywhere near what they were making when they were selling drugs. So I think that's a mental thing that he's going to have to deal with whenever he gets out. But yeah, that was just I just wanted to talk about that real quick because that was something that was going on. But get into the story today. Again, it may not be that entertaining. I've told this story many times, different people I work with, but it may be informational for you, and it may be something you already know. But I'm not sure how old I was at the time. Um, I had to have been in my 20s, early 20s, maybe 20, 21, maybe something like that. But anyway, there was this girl or woman, and she liked me. Um, I want to say she was Puerto Rican, but I could be mistaken. But I think she was. And my issue with her was, I think at the time, and I'm older, so at the time they used to call them bugaboos. And, somebody just always trying to be up under you, always trying to be around you. Because we weren't dating. She was somebody that liked me. And, my stepfather always told me, hey, I always get a girl that like you more than you like them. Um, and I guess that goes with anybody, any relationship. You'll have a level of control in that relationship if you're dating or whatever with somebody that likes you more than you like them. So with her, that was the case. And there was one thing about her that I really didn't like. She had things that I liked. She, had a nice shape, uh, full. Well, I'm not gonna say full figure. She wasn't like overweight or nothing, but I mean, technically, I guess she was overweight. But she was shapely, uh, full chested, top heavy. Everything, fair skin, and she had the curly, kind of straight hair. But the thing that was wrong with her that I didn't like is that she had a mustache. Now, in general, women have mustaches, and they're usually really light, and then they're lightly shaving them off, or they putting wax or something and taking them off or whatever. But her mustache had a little density to it, so that's what leads me to believe she was a Hispanic descent to some degree because it had a little density to it. And I'm saying little, it was quite a bit. It was enough that if she went to a barbershop and somebody shaped her mustache, it would have looked thicker. So it was kind of like a 16-year-old's mustache. And I didn't like how that looked. And I don't know, I don't think transgenders were out at that time. I don't think that was even a thing. And if it was top secret. But, and that's not a shot at the LGBTQIA plus community or anything like that. It's just that at the time, I don't think that's what it was. Because I've told this story to other people and they said, well, maybe she wasn't a she, it was a guy, it was a transgender. No, that wasn't even going on there, as far as I know. So, but she had this mustache, and I didn't like that about her. So I never called myself dating her or being with her. I'd go over there once in blue moon and play spades or something like that. But I never really stuck around like that. So one day she calls me and she's like, hey, what are you doing today or whatever? It was like early. It was like 9 something in the morning. I was like, oh, I don't know. I got a lot to do, because I didn't want to be bothered with it. I didn't like being out in public with her. She had this mustache. She had a nice body. She had a mustache, but the mustache was dense enough. If she would have shaved it, I think it still would have been gray. Like, how men have, you shave, you still have that kind of gray shadow because the hair buds are still there. Yeah, I think it would have been like that. So it wouldn't have been any better her shaving it. It'd probably been a little better, and then she like piled some makeup on it. But she didn't. She wouldn't touch it. And even and then the ends of it had like little stringy, little longer hairs, kind of on the end. So it wasn't even on the lip right. It was kind of hanging out the side. It was not pretty. Wasn't pretty. So, but she was an attractive woman. It was crazy. So she calls me. It was like 9 something. She was like, "Oh well, me and my sister and her boyfriend we going to Six Flags. I want to see if you would go with me." Now, I just stated how I didn't want to be in public, and Six Flags is public than a motherfucker. It's a gang of people there. And every time I've been, I've always seen at least 3 people I know, because that's like in this area, that's kind of like the go-to thing for the summer. And I wasn't a fan of going to Six Flags because it would take forever to get on rides. I mean, you go to Six Flags all day, you might get on 4 rides, bumper cars. At the time, I think it was the Batman or Superman. I don't even know if they had it now. So you get on that, bumper cars, the old time. I think it was called Old Time Roller Coaster or something, but it was a roller coaster that never really had lines because it wasn't really doing a whole lot. It was kind of a regular thing. We used to get on that just to rest. But that, and then you get on the Screaming Eagle, and the Screaming Eagle was at least a 4 hour investment. It was easily a 4 hour investment, so much so that they had signs along the way while you're in line. And the sign it'll say 2 hours to go, an hour and a half from this point, 30 minutes from this point. It was just crazy. So I wasn't a fan of Six Flags like that. I had literally at that point had been 4 times, maybe 3 or 4 times. In high school, you would have a high school trip to go. And that was my first time going. And I almost got in a fight at that point. It was some high school shit. Motherfucker didn't like me. He felt like this was the opportunity. He was gonna kick my ass or whatever. But it ended up being nothing. But I almost got in a fight. So I'm like, man, I was like, man, I don't like Six Flags like that. So she's like, oh, it'd be fun. I don't have nobody to go with me. And it seemed like she would have known by now. You know if you're a good looking guy or attractive woman, you know this. You may be a little humble because like I'm humble. I don't think I'm the greatest looking guy, but I know I'm not the worst either. And I've had a lot of women that say I'm an attractive guy or good looking guy, whatever. So because people are gonna let you know that. With her, she's attractive. She's the fair skin, and not saying fair skin makes her attractive, but she was just attractive anyway. She had nice eyes, nice figure. Like I said, she's big breasted, hips, ass, thigh. I mean, she was shaped up nice, small waist. She didn't have any kids. I mean, but again, she was what, 20, 19, 20, 21 maybe. Had the curly, long hair. She just had a mustache. So I don't know if that was veering guys away from her, or maybe guys were meeting her and be like, yeah, she got a mustache, but I'm going to smash real quick. They smash and then leave her. But again, like I said before, she was a bugaboo. She kind of just like, trying to be up under you. So in the average street guy, probably like, yeah, I smash. And then what? Bitch, get out my face. I ain't got time for this shit. And then just ignore her because like, man, she annoyed me. But overall, I'm a nice guy. I don't do people like that. But I mean, I would just ignore some calls or just say no a lot of times to different things like that. But then I would still deal with her at times. So what ended up happening was she talked me, and what I ended up saying was like, man, I don't have any money, which I didn't have any Six Flags money. Six Flags money at the time, you needed at least $100 for at least one person. And then I was like, man, I ain't got the money to be going. Because initially, for one, I didn't want to go because she has this mustache and I'm out in public with her. For two, I'm figuring I got to pay for us. And I'm saying at least $100. And that's penny pinching while you're there because everything was extremely high. And at the time, you could take I think a 7-Up or a Coke can, and that would take care of the parking. And then if you had another can, you got a discount. And then even after all of that, the ticket was still $28 a person. So like I said, out of that $100 and a few empty cans of Coke, you still had the penny pinch for two people. You wasn't eating like that. If you was going there, you wasn't finna get hot dogs and shit that was like $7-8. And then, like I said, this was years ago. This had to have been in the 90s. It was still early 90s, 93 maybe. So, shit, it's probably $100 a person now. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna look it up. I don't know how much Six Flags costs now. But so anyway, she was like, "Oh no, I'll pay for it or whatever." And I was like, "Oh shit, she gonna pay for it." And I was like, "Yeah, she probably gonna penny pinch too." But I was like, "I don't eat like that. That'll be fine." Then I was like, yeah, it would be kind of cool. I said, man, and then I said, man, I don't like being in the sun all day waiting in the Screaming Eagle. She was like, we don't have to ride the Screaming Eagle. We don't have to worry about that. And I was like, man, this is ridiculous, man. All right, man, I'll go. Fuck it. So she had a car. She was driving. So I drove to her house. I get to the house. And this is my first time meeting her sister. Now, I've been kicking it with her maybe a month. And a lot of times we was getting, motel room or go to a late night movie or something like that. It wasn't really never relationship like that. I had maybe 4 or 5 encounters with her. Now at the time, Six Flags seemed like it was light years away. It felt like it was an hour or something, but it was never really that far. So, but I was riding with her. She was driving. So I get there and I meet her sister. Sister looks just like her. They almost could have been twins, but her sister was skinny and her sister was in a wheelchair. And I didn't know this. So her sister's in a wheelchair and then the boyfriend is like this dusty guy. And if you don't know what I mean by dusty, I can't explain it to you, but it is what it is. I think if this guy would have been cleaned up, he still would have had that level of looking at him like, yeah, he dusty. So, so it's this dusty guy there, and he was cool. He wasn't on no bullshit. He was cool. So, I mean, I guess he had been with her for a while because he loaded her into the back seat, and she had a power chair, so he knew how to fold it right and lift it and fit it into the back of the car. And I was like, damn, motherfucking know his shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have had no idea how to break that chair down. I was still shocked she was in a wheelchair, but she was boisterous. I mean, she talked the whole time, and she was doing mainly talking because I never really had a lot of conversation for the girl with the mustache. So we get to the place, and I was like, man, I forgot you probably could have a can of Coke and for the parking. She was like, I ain't worried about that or whatever. So she just paid for parking, paid my way in there, and I was like, man, this is crazy, So, dude was like, man, what ride we gonna get on first, my guy? And I was like, I don't know, I said, man, the Six Flags. I said, man, the Screaming Eagle takes all day. Maybe we can just go to Screaming Eagle. Shit, I don't know. And then he was like, man, let's ride the Batman and Superman. Because as soon as you come in to the right, it was the Batman Superman ride over there. I hadn't enrolled it. And they called it that because you get in it and your feet was dangling. You was like in a partial seat, but your feet was dangling. It wasn't in nothing. So it's like you flying around. And the way the thing was strapped, it looked like, you felt like it had a level of flying and you did loops and shit. So I say, yeah, all right, man, I guess we can do that. So I'm leading the way because I'm like, shit, I'm kind of geeked, want to do this. So I go up there and I get in line. I say, damn, they got this long ass line. But I'm like, fuck it. I'm at Six Flags. This how the game go. I get in line and then they yell over at me like, what you doing? And I look over and they're on the other side. Like, man, we go in this way. And I'm like, go in that way? That's the exit. He was like, man, come on, we go up the exit. I was like, go up the exit? What the fuck are they talking about? So I'm following them. He was like, yeah, we go up the exit. We don't have to get in line. I was like, what the fuck you mean we ain't got to get in line? Everybody gets in line. He was like, no, we go up the exit, man. My girl handicapped, so we get to ride on their handicap. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, no, man, they'll let her ride. Maybe they ain't finna let us on. He was like, no, her and whoever with her. I was like, there ain't no way this is real. So we go up the exit. I'm feeling uneasy about it because I don't like to get clowned, especially by people that are like in a job position, whether it be cops, bailiffs, security officers, workers. I can go into McDonald's and I say, hey, I don't have the cheese on my burger like I want it. And then if they get loud with me, I'm embarrassed that they got loud. I'm pissed, but I'm embarrassed that they got loud. So I feel like I got to start saying shit back. And I didn't really want to do that because at Six Flags, they will call the police, the security get a hold of you. They will hold you. Police come get you and you locked up out in whatever town that is. It's happened before. So not with me, but I've, known people that it happened to. So I'm like, damn, this is crazy. So what ended up happening was we go up the exit. She's got a wheelchair thing. He's helping her into, they letting her get in the first car. They helping load her into the first car, not the people, he is and the other person assisting, and got her strapped into the thing. And her legs was dangling anyway because her legs didn't work. She's handicapped. So they put her in there, strapped her in good. She's smiling and she's talking the whole fucking time. He gets in the front, and me and the girls start getting in. They strapping her in. They was like, "Are you riding?" I was like, I look back at the fucking line. They all pissed because it was like three section. No, was it three, four? No, it wasn't that many. It was maybe eight to 10. But it was then all these lines and all these people. But there's more people in the line to come to the first and second car. And they was looking like, this is bullshit. And then they was like, come on, and I got on in there. I was like, God damn. We gypped all of them motherfuckers. Because the line it had to at least be, and this is no exaggeration, I bet it was at least 100 people. And I may be shorting it some. It may have been more than 100. We was able to come around all of them, and then she was the only one that was handicapped, but we got to go just because we was with her. And that's the informational piece that I'm talking about. So if you go to Six Flags or Disney World or any of these places with somebody handicapped, you don't have to get in line. You go up the exit. That's the fringe benefit of that. And I was just like, I had no fucking clue. So we ride it. Fun as fuck at the time, right? Ride it, come around, did some loops, all that, yelling out, screaming like a little girl. Had a ball. Pulls up here to stop. Because, they had a couple of cars going, one go, next one go, whatever. So we pull up there to stop. The thing opens up. And then the dudes in the car, the seats ahead of us, and he's like, you want to ride again, baby? She was like, yeah, I want to ride again. And then the people that let people on and off, they was like, oh, you riding again? You guys riding again too? And then she asked me, you want to ride again? I said, we can ride again? They was like, yeah. So we never dismounted. We never got out. We literally rode that Superman or Batman, whichever it was. We literally rode that thing like 5 fucking times in a row. They never made us get out. All we had to do is, as long as she was saying, oh, well, no, I'm good. I'm going to stay on here. We rode it like 5 times in a row. Didn't have to get out. And the people in the line was just looking like, this is bullshit. And I got to tell you, it was the greatest fucking time I ever had at Six Flags ever. Greatest fucking time ever. So we get off of that. I'll say, yo, that's the greatest shit ever. This is fucking great. So I'm like, hey, do this work for the Screaming Eagle? Because, Screaming Eagle was a minimum 4-hour wait. She was like, yeah, we go up the exit. I was like, let's go to Screaming Eagle right fucking now. So we head straight to the Screaming Eagle. We go up this long ass exit. We passing people. They're getting out of her way. She had the power one, and he had an extra battery in the bag in case that one go. But that battery is like an 8-hour. Matter of fact, it never went out. We was there all day. She goes up the thing. Then she goes to the front car. As soon as that car pulls up, we all get in that car. The front car, she's in the front with her and her boyfriend, me and the girl in the back. I was like, this is fucking insane. So we ride it. I was like, oh man, that was great. We rode the thing, did some drops, all this shit, screaming on the track. We get up to the thing. We riding again? I'm already asking, we gonna ride again? We gonna ride again? She was like, yeah, we can ride again. We pulled up there. He's like, the things open up. He's like, you guys riding again? It was like, oh, they lock it right back down. We rode again. We rode that like 6 times in a row. I rode it 6 times in a row. I was sick. I said, okay, I'm feeling sick now. I'm ready to get off. Fucking greatest time ever. So I go throw up in the local trash can. I didn't have much, but I threw that up. And I was like, man, I feel like I got to drink. She was like, oh, let's get you some soda or whatever. I got some soda, Sprite soda, 7-Up soda. If you ever sick, 7-Up soda is supposed to tighten you back up. I drank some 7-Up soda, felt a little better. We went to the old time roller coaster, and I actually went to sleep on there. Just, because it's not the most aggressive roller coaster, but I actually went to sleep on this roller coaster. And I was like, man, let's go to the bumper car. Went to the bumper cars, go up the exit, got right in the bumper car. It was almost like we were rich and we had the whole park to ourselves, because no matter where we went, we was able to get right on the ride. The length of time it took us to go up the exit to get to the ride, that's the time it took to get on the ride. We didn't have to wait 4 hours in a Screaming Eagle and 2 hours in Superman, Batman, whatever the hell it was. None of this stuff. We never had to wait. And it was the best time I ever had at Six Flags. And it come to where I was like, I fucking enjoy Six Flags. Six Flags is fucking awesome. Needless to say, the party was over. The girl that had the mustache, she ended up moving away. I forgot when she went to Indiana or Texas or something, but she moved away. And, I always had some girl or something I met. So I met this other girl. So, let's go to Six Flags. Okay. I'm back to, I got to pay for it. Back to getting 7-Up cans, Coca-Cola cans for parking and paying all this money to go. All of this shit. And then I was like, let's ride the Superman Batman. I go over to this ride and I fucking forgot. Nobody's handicapped that's with me. I had to get in that fucking line. And it took 2.5 hours. And we rode 3 rides all day. I was fucking sweating. I got a little sunburn on my neck. I was fucking disgusted. And I ain't been back to Six Flags since. So that's the food for thought. If you're going to go to Six Flags, Disney World, Disneyland, any other place, anybody you know that's handicapped in a wheelchair, take them with you. But that's going to be, I'm going to wrap my show up with that. Hey, you like these stories I got to tell? I do. I talk about entertainment news. I talked about the Omni a little bit, but not much. But I talk about entertainment news. I do reaction videos. And I got a bunch of stories, man. I got a long life I've lived and current stories, all kind of stuff. But you like stuff like this, YouTube, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload new content. It's your boy, Carlito Monroe. Peace.